So I'm Jay. I would consider myself just a queer person. I don't really put a label on like my gender, so I either go with like they or she pronouns. So it's fluid, but like it kind of depends on a lot of different factors. So
That's fine. Well, my name's Casey. I identify as non-binary, gender fluid. Kind of feel quite similarly. I mix about the pronouns with labels and stuff like that in a more, I don't know, I find them a bit of a, what's the word? Expression, if you know what I mean. I use them to express kind of not the way I'm feeling, but I guess who I am in a sense, but it can vary and shift over time. So I guess, I would consider myself quite a queer person is definitely a good go-to word.
Yeah.
And my pronouns are they, them.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for deafening Abe.
You talked about identity in the intro. What's your personal experiences?
So I didn't really sort of come out to myself as anything. It didn't ever cross my mind that I might be in any way queer. So until I was like 14, 15, and then I like developed feelings for my best friend. And I didn't even like put a label on like my sexuality as such until I was having a conversation with someone. I can give you the full story. It was in biology class. Wasn't even anything to do with it. We were just
names.
No. We were just like chatting, and it just came up in like conversation. And I said, I kind of have feelings for my friend. And so one of my other people sat with me and was like, oh, so you're bisexual? And before I even thought about it, I just said yes. And I'm like, fuck, yeah, I am. So that was how I first like self-identified as in any way part of the LGBT community.
That penny drop moment.
Yeah, like where your brain works faster than like you consciously thinking about it to just go, yes, that's right, and you're like, yeah, I guess it is. Then over time my labels have changed a lot. So I went from bisexual to pansexual, and then I started having with pansexual, and I started mixing labels because then obviously you get into sexual versus romantic attraction. Yeah, it gets complicated. So I would, for a while, I identified as like bisexual, panromantic, and then I like probably looked into like pansexuality. It's like, oh yeah, you're attracted to all genders, but equally, I'm like, well, that's not me. So it's not that. I don't know what I am. And then by the time I worked out what the term was, I'd already come to terms and like made peace with like not really labeling myself. So like I label myself as just a queer person, but that is pretty much as close to a non-label as I can get. Like I'm happy with like leaving the label there because it is a non-label.
Yeah, it's a generic.
Yeah, like if it was any more sort of labelish, then I would try and like get further from it because I just don't see the point in like labeling it. You know that little Thomas Sanders Vine thing where it's like, oh, so you like boys? Yes. So you like girls? Yes. So which is it? Boys, girls? Yes. Like if like that was a way of like properly identifying in like an actual non-humorous way, that would be like how I would do it.
That's quite what me and my partner joke about with the whole gender thing. Is that we to explain our genders, we kind of go. It's like if somebody approached them and said, "Are you a boy or a girl?" No. Are you a boy or a girl? Yes. You know what I mean? Like yes to both, no to both.
Yeah, I've joked with other people like, oh, my gender identity is a giant question mark. Giant neon floating question mark. That is it.
Yeah.
And obviously it's one of those ones like you have to kind of not be careful about it, but because you get people on the internet, it's like, oh, I identify as an Apache attack helicopter. Like, this was going to be a fun joke, but now I can't make it because you're actually a moron. When people are joking about it, it's fine, but it's like when people actually have a very similar mentality, you have to like watch the way you joke with other queer people. And
people just don't understand. It's like they don't get that it's actually brain shit as opposed to just like a social thing. And I think that's like the bad perception of it. Everyone thinks it's a social thing, but it's not. It's brain shit. And like I didn't really think too much into it, but the more I realised it was brain shit, I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
it's psychosocial, because like a lot of what I kind of see it as is like it's that ingrainedness from a young age of the pink is for girls, blue boys have blue, that type of mentality of if you kind of feel attracted towards the other end of it, and then you get kind of pushed down on that's not normal for you, if you know what I mean. there's an essence of the brain stuff, but there's also the psychological element of as soon as you show a likeness to Barbies as a kid, you get told that you're a freak.
Yeah.
You know, so then that build up over time starts to develop all these psychological issues around who you are as a person and what your body is.
Yeah.
And what it's supposed to be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I was like super lucky as a kid. Like my mum, basically for my sister's 2nd birthday, she got trains and a tool set because my mum looked at it and said, "Well, she'll like that because you know she has to like play with stuff and like knock stuff through." You know, like, it was one of those like you know when you get like the shapes and you knock them through with a hammer. She got like one of them because like well you know she'll like it, and so I like that sort of mentality stayed through. So I didn't get the same. Obviously, you get it when you go out into society, but in like my home life, it wasn't like, "Oh, you can't have that. That's you know that's not for boys." And like my sister, it wasn't, "Oh, you can't have that. That's not for girls." Like we just were able to develop into whatever the fuck we liked.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
like my sister got like Barbies and Polly Pockets and stuff like that. But there was no problem with me going and playing with her toys as long as she didn't care. There's a photo of me and my sister sat, and we're both in like fairy dresses, like with tiaras on and like wand. So yeah.
Yeah,
that's good. It's good your family's like
got a lot of with it affecting me. It would have probably been more along the lines of like my family probably wouldn't have cared, but it was that ingrained in society type thing of like even if I did want to go and play with my sister's dolls, I would have felt weird about it because I'm not supposed to, kind of thing. Like it's so publicized in the media that boys are supposed to be rough and like football that you kind of keep it a secret that you don't.
I sort of came out to myself as like bisexual. I sort of started having the thing of, "Oh, am I transgender?" Like. Or like a trans woman, and then like that eventually sort of didn't properly stick. Like I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's it." And when you first met me, obviously that was what you understood like my gender to be.
Yeah.
At that point, I was so unsure of whether or not that was actually right. I was sort of that's what I was going with because I knew that was a good sort of safe, stable. That's what I've identified as for a while now.
Better than he.
Better than he. And I don't know what other options there are. Like, I knew there were other options, but I didn't know if they worked for me. So I sort of said, "That's what it is," and left it at that.
It's that scale of discomfort, isn't it? That people don't understand that it's not always on two extremes. And I guess that's the point of non-binary, is it's not binary to two extremes. It's not man or woman. You can exist on the gradient there. Yeah,
which is why I like said like I like they because it is that nice because like he that does not work. Hate that. That sucks. Like it leaves a bad taste in
your mouth.
It's
anything but that. That's sort of what,
occasionally it's that, but like that comes with a whole lot of that's like a bad mental health day for me when it's he. Like there's all the little inner demons also come out, and I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be fun." But no, she sometimes comes with the same sort of mental baggage. So like they is that nice neutral middle ground of just okay, there's no stress of that. Like she can be quite stressful.
I get that. So it's a commitment.
Moved to uni, like giving myself that freedom of like expression, and then like talking to the counsellor at uni, he was very much like, "Well, I don't really like labels, so maybe you should try without." I've been thinking about like trying to ditch labels for a bit, but I hadn't actually made that step. And having someone speak to me and say, "Have you tried not using labels?" was just like the best thing ever. Because like as soon as that was gone, I had like the entire summer to like even though it was the summer at home and it was like Jordan, their name's Jordan. Wow. I'm not like some people don't like knowing about that, but I'm not bothered. So it was like all of that, but obviously internally I could like refer to myself with like no labels, and like that was the most freeing thing. And like coming back to uni, it's just so like okay, there we are.
Yeah, people like some of the mindsets and or much more open, like generational. Yeah,
that's me. That's my story. Up until now, who knows? Come back in 3 years and it might be different. Maybe the trauma will be gone. Unlikely.
I suppose I should go into me now, shouldn't I?
I mean, if you don't want to, then
don't. That's cool. I don't know really. I grew up in France, obviously, as you guys know, but as you guys don't know. And I don't know, in France there wasn't that much of a queer culture growing up around the time that I grew up. There was a small amount of homophobia, but the homophobia was very much privatized almost. The schools in France are everything is kept in, if you know what I mean. So kids don't really know about gayness enough to bully about it. It's just a word. It's just there's that element of gay means bad.
Yeah, no, the same thing. Like,
but there was no actual. Nobody actually knew anybody who was gay, and nobody knew if anybody else was gay.
Late 2000s to like 2012.
Yeah, like
I
remember
gay was just the word used for weird, and like it's not right, but it's how it was.
Yeah.
Because I remember it, and it was it wasn't a big deal until you realise that it is a big deal.
It's one of those things that I find was a big deal in the psychology behind it. I don't think it was a big deal for people, if you know what I mean.
But humour at that time literally is be as edgy as you can, and that makes you funny, and that's what I remember.
Yeah.
So I was always like,
it doesn't necessarily mean that you being funny doesn't make you an asshole.
Oh yeah.
But like,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that was the type of humour back then. It was very.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's
like,
just how it was. Like,
it had gone past that for me, but the sort of remnants of you don't want to be gay because like gay is, like you said, like it was weird.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember
it wasn't even.
It was like
it was just the word was used for like something went wrong, but oh, that's gay. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't have that. Like that had been and gone by the time I went to primary school, but it was still there was the connotations and associations of gay is not a good thing. Like, I think it was like the whole thing of having that label like forced upon. I didn't understand what a gay person was at that point.
Yeah.
Like, not even any of the other like terms like lesbian, not even like the really offensive ones, dyke, all that sort of stuff. That wasn't even on the radar for like primary school kids.
There was one gay kid in our school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
People
remember.
did like say shit, but you just like fight back.
So, yeah, no, I remember. What was it? Yeah. It's like when I was in primary school. It's like, oh, you kissed a boy, and I'm like, oh no, not really. You just, you kiss dad on the cheek as he goes to work. And it's like, well, that's gay. I'm like, I'm not gay, and like that's my only experience with like gay in that sense.
One of my friends came out of the closet. Like two good friends in school.
Yeah.
They're brothers, but one of them came out like after school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with close friends. They're like, what time?
Yeah.
Closeted and that. But like, they're very happy now, so
yeah,
it's good. That's good. Yeah. Damage still gets done though.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that's like, it's not bad for the individuals. It's bad for it is bad for the individuals, but it's the effect it has on everybody as a whole. Is the fact that the damage of gay being a word that means bad does damage to everybody in the school, not just the gay people, because gay people are saying it.
And it keeps people closeted because it's a bad thing.
Yeah, and even people saying for the humour's sake don't realise that what is bad about it, so it's affecting them in the sense that they're going to continue to use gay as a word meaning bad without realising. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I feel like it's very changed there. Like society changed quite fast for that.
Yeah.
Like it was like a little niche of edgy humour. Like, like Shane Dawson with blackface, and like that was it, and now it's just sort of everyone's realised, and it's a lot better.
Yeah.
But then obviously you get the opposite end with people that still
I think a lot of it was residual leftover from past times and more nastier humour and stuff like that. Whereas it's like leftover in the sense that the whole gay thing was used in a time when people were becoming a bit more open, and that's why all of a sudden people realised, oh wait, this is something we need to change too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I do still like edgy humour though, but as you've got to be. People got to understand that it's a joke. It's not.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's meant with intent, then like, do you know what I mean? If it's a legit comedian thing or whatever.
I mean, just like sort of, if you understand that there is no like ill intent, like I'm quite happy to sit there and like anytime, if Abe sort of has a particular drink I don't like a lot, I was fucking gay, isn't it? Because it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it's all
there's an element of the funniness is pointing out the inconsistency. So the funniness is pointing out is calling something that's not. Like saying somebody who's gay is straight could eventually, with the right scenario, be turned into a pretty funny joke because you're labeling somebody without their permission. You know, that's the funny thing. It could be for anything. You know, not necessarily just gay.
Yeah.
If you look down that route rather than I don't know, the specifics when people take you at face value. Yeah. You know, when you say something funny because like the joke is that you're being sarcastic and people think you're actually racist or you're actually homophobic.
And like it's a lot of the time it's like a close group of friends, like you try and insult each other and it's like there's no hatred there, and it's literally word like it's banter, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I mean, banter has like recently got like that bad rap because people are like, oh, it's only banter when
people use it as an excuse, but like if you're in a tight group of friends,
then
You all know
banter
it's
is just
banter.
banter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's really like where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that
That's-
mentality of banter's between friends, not just between people.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
banter
if you
for
said
a
that
long
some
time,
random person that happen to be gay and you're saying shit, it's not.
it's not banter
You don't
because you don't
They
know
don't,
them.
don't have that
Yeah.
understanding of it's a
Yeah,
joke,
literally, yeah.
and that's the problem.
I guess like there was a period where office banter was a common thing, and it's
Yeah.
like office banter really isn't banter because you don't know the people.
Yeah.
You know, like if you gotta, I don't know, get a gist of the environment you're in.
Yeah. That was quite a segue, wasn't it? Look back to
Yeah.
your story.
Oh, yeah.
Tangent.
That was a good segue there. I like that. That was a good segue. Anyway.
I don't know really. Yeah, there wasn't much growing up. I knew, to a certain extent, I felt quite queer from quite young on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was having that lack of language, but also having that lack of that social environment around me. Like how most of my friends were probably straight.
Yeah.
You know, and there was that sort of almost straight culture. You know, that kind of laddie culture.
Yeah.
And because I go both ways, I guess, or go multiple ways, you kind of, I don't know, I guess it's like that bi-het slur kind of thing, in the sense of people are assumed to be het if they're in a het relationship, and in a sense that because I was hanging around with people who were all into chicks, and I was also into chicks, then you never really notice it. And then I don't know, I moved away to college.
Yeah. I had no idea. Like that.
Yeah.
I thought you were just like
Little straight boy.
heterosexual.
One of the lads.
Yeah. I had no idea until obviously after you changed to
Really?
Casey. Yeah.
Oh. Did you know about like?
Oh no, I did know. To be honest, I thought you were just a drama student, so I was just like,
I mean, the same fucking thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I didn't give it too much thought, but I was just like drama students.
Yeah. We were all. There was so many of us that were quite queer.
Yeah.
That it just didn't become a question anymore. Yeah.
I think you did tell me you were like bi. So, but
I
again,
quite
I was
like
just
bi
like,
as an umbrella term.
yeah. I think
very
you said
much.
at that time though. That was what you said at that time.
Well, moving to the UK, I didn't actually know too much,
okay.
but we had one. Do you remember? I'm not going to mention the name.
Yeah.
But one of our teachers.
Oh yeah.
No, real nice one.
Oh,
nice one.
the
First year
best
teacher.
one.
First
The
year
best
teacher.
teacher.
Red hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She was giving this talk on gender stuff and sexuality stuff and everything. And I'd recently been having a bunch of conversations with people in the class about not knowing and stuff like that, because I've used bi as an umbrella term for long enough to know that I'm queer.
Yeah.
But I was trying to describe how I felt about my sexuality in the sense of I identify as pansexual, but I identify it's like, to me that kind of means I'm attracted to what's the word? Character qualities, people's qualities, and stuff like that. So like, and obviously there is a difference between romanticism and sexual attraction and stuff like that. But I very much, a lot of my sexual attraction is based on who a person is. So I will like say, I don't know, even just aesthetics and stuff like that. Like a girl could be, or a guy could be really hot.
Yeah.
You know, walking down the street, that wouldn't really matter too much. But if they're wearing Chuck Taylors, that'll turn me on. You know, like, or if they're wearing like a band T-shirt that I like or something like that, that's what gets me. It's that mentality side of it in the brain. Gender just completely goes up. Gender and sexual or sex, I guess. Like birth sex, completely just goes out the window for me. If you know what I mean.
I get that women like if someone wearing like a certain thing.
Like it's that.
So is it like a compatibility thing, like or
if
it's like
less about compatibility in the sense of things that are similar to me, more in the sense of if it's passionate or if it's something that stands out. You know, like it could be something I completely hate, but if they fucking own it and they're there and I can see it from the outside without even talking to them.
If
like,
I mean, if you're attracted
fit in Crocs, you like.
could be. It would be weird.
If
but
anyone
it
looks
could be.
fit in Crocs, I think I'd immediately shoot myself.
No. You immediately go and kidnap them because they are obviously the best person alive. Because nobody can look good in Crocs, so they can look good in anything.
Fuck Crocs.
Not crocodiles though. Don't fuck them. That'll end badly.
I did that once.
If it's consensual,
Not a good idea. Yeah.
if you can get consent, that's kind of like how I like to describe
Before
my
you get your
sexuality.
fucking
If it consent,
body
if it
chopped.
can consent and have a pulse, then I'll fuck it.
Jeez.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. Is it alive? Can it consent? Sick.
So that's the way.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
it
that?
should be.
There's a massive Instagram like master post on whether or not Perry the Platypus can consent, and people have worked out that obviously because he's an animal, technically not, but also if you're basing it on like whether or not someone's an animal, then
Yeah,
versus human, then like what happens to someone, you know, like it's like the whole can Perry the Platypus consent? It's like, well, he's more intelligent than most of the people around him, so if you're just gonna say no, he can't consent just because
he's an animal.
he's an animal, then you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, I guess it's anybody with
Capacity.
Yeah.
anybody with
Thanks, Abe.
yeah.
That's the word.
Abe the cameraman.
Abe the cameraman's good at words.
I think in I want to say storyline environments, you get a lot of characters like say Brian Griffin or whatever that are personified in a sense. You know, like if you take Brian Griffin out of the Family Guy universe, he's just a dog, probably wouldn't be able to consent. But if you're implying that you could have a conversation with the Brian Griffin that is personified and has
When we're talking about animals
Thingy's
giving
voice,
consent.
then he probably could consent.
Yeah.
Are we talking about animals giving consent?
Why not, man? This is fun. Good podcast shit.
Right.
Did you guys ever see that video of that girl who like fucks a dog?
Oh yeah, I do have sex with my dogs.
It's so weird.
Don't take that out of context, Dave. Please don't.
What?
Just a fucking random video of me surfing on the internet saying, I do have sex with my dogs.
So yeah, carry on your story.
Yeah.
I'm getting
original.
distracted.
I don't know. Yeah, because I was explaining to friends and stuff around that time how I felt about sexuality and stuff like that, and how and the pansexual stuff, but I didn't know the word pansexual. And then we sat down in the foyer and had this whole lesson where she brought up stuff on the electric board and stuff, and then she goes into one, she goes pansexual and explains it and stuff, and one of my friends looks over and goes, "Isn't that you?" And then I kind of had a bit of a penny drop moment where I realised that there are other descriptive words to describe this sort of stuff. You don't need to use umbrella terms, or like you can have those umbrella terms to be a bit vague about how you generally feel, to not make that smaller label be so prominent and be so aggressive. Like you have to conform to this, but also there's other stuff out there, you know. And then that kind of triggered I guess the whole moving to the UK triggered a bit of a queer awakening.
Yeah.
But it was just put in more of a comfortable scenario where friends were a bit more open, I guess. Yeah. And I guess from there it was just on and off stuff with gender.
Yeah.
Which is shit.
Yeah.
Gender fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's good you and your partner have a like understanding on it and you support each other.
Yeah, it's very good. My one of my earlier partners, we didn't have that much of an understanding.
No.
But that didn't go too far, so it doesn't really matter.
That's fair.
But I guess those are the things that you encounter in life. You know, you've got to find somebody who's going to support you.
Yeah.
For me, it was the after that queer awakening, remembering stuff from childhood and stuff of how you feel and stuff, that you don't necessarily make those connections. And then I guess the main problem for me was I felt trans for ages, and then I would stop and not for ages, and then it was kind of like being bipolar trans almost, you know. And so that for me, it kind of took me down a route of constant pushing it aside and always forgetting about it. It's when I was feeling quite femme, I would go online, be in this mentality, and like really feel like I was trans, but then beat myself up over all the times that I felt more masculine, you know. And but then once it goes, again, it's that, well, now I'm feeling masculine, so this can't be a problem, you know. And then further down the line, finding non-binary was a bit of a savior.
Yeah, I mean, that's because when I sort of first came out for myself, I was like, I was overdoing it. I was like trying to make it such a big thing for myself, like, oh, I'm a trans woman, I've got to be as feminine as possible, completely ignoring the fact that at this point I was like, well, gender's not really something that like you can like put in a box like that.
Yeah.
But despite the fact I thought that, I'm like, yeah, but I'm not,
Your mind just naturally goes to that.
Yeah, I'm not, feminine enough. And I was like, completely doing it up, and it wasn't in any way natural.
Have to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like, it didn't even occur to me that as a label, maybe that didn't fully fit, and I should like look at myself a bit more and explore the other labels. I just like, no, this is me. I'm sticking with this. I'm going to make it work, and because I'm a stubborn motherfucker, it kind of did until I sort of really got time to like explore myself and experiment with other stuff.
Yeah, that must have been like hard in the sense of, because I guess I had the back and forth kind of hard. It must have been quite hard to be quite cemented somewhere that was like, I have to do this.
Yeah,
this
those
thing.
little things that you say, oh, but you're just faking it, aren't you? When you are faking part of it, funny enough, that voice gets louder.
Nah, never tell yourself you're faking part of it.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, no, but the thing is, I was doing everything up. It was like I didn't feel as femme as I was trying to make myself feel. Just to like try and conform to like that label more.
Yeah, like you were having days where you didn't feel as femme, but you were trying to feel more femme because you felt like that's what you should feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so those days,
I guess, and that's the same. Like just because, in the same way that. Just because you have a male body doesn't mean you have to be male. Just because you have a trans brain doesn't mean you have to be 100% female trans.
Yeah.
Like it's doing the same thing back on yourself, but once you've accepted the transness,
Yeah.
You can't just solidify yourself in this little box that you were doing, like when you might have thought you were cis.
Yeah.
When you're trans, it's the same problems, I guess.
Yeah, and it was all stuff to just work through and deal with, and now I have. It's a lot better.
Nice. I guess one of the things is like, with what you were saying about people assuming it's a choice and stuff like that.
Well, that's
it's like it is a choice, but it's a choice.
Oh yeah.
It's a choice to
not feel shit about it.
Yeah, it's like it's a soother. Like outside of your experience with pronouns are a courtesy. So no matter what reason you have for choosing a pronoun, it's a courtesy that other people obey.
Yeah.
Because it's not about what people call you for them, it's about what people call you for you. The same way if you don't know somebody's pronouns, you don't know what gender they are, you would refer to them as they. What time are they coming round later? When you don't know what it is. It's a courtesy. It's a politeness thing, And
I feel like more what society think, or like general... Oops, sorry. I put my duck down. So like, you say like, I want to be an astronaut. It's like that imagination. People think of it like that. It's like I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to like boys, and it's like it's not like that.
No, yeah, it's already and the choices that you do make are for like
your own personal sanity.
Yeah.
Pretty much at that point. Yeah.
But they don't understand that. They think, oh, I want to do this.
It's like people have that mentality of, oh, they're asking us to call us something. Yes, they're asking you to call us something. Same way a mister asks you to call them a mister. That doesn't mean they have to actually openly say those words, but by choosing that as their title, that is them asking you to call them that. They could change that to Mrs. or Doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the status of having that in front of your name is the request that you make out to the world, and the politeness is just acknowledging that and being correct, I guess. Not using the wrong ones.
What does the brain do? Why does it have this?
It's a psychological reaction based on what you have associated those words with.
Yeah.
Because all words are obviously associations with objects and feelings and things.
Yeah, it's why I don't like Jordan is like a completely genuine neutral name, but I don't like it because of the connotations that comes with like my childhood growing up, and then all the sort of stuff of growing up as a boy.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, all names are just syllables that you're spurting out. It's the attack.
You could call your child
Yeah.
And then say, oh, that's a male name, and
yeah, literally.
it's literally just because you said it is.
Like Benjamin could be a female name.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the attachment that the people make to it.
Yeah.
And that attachment you have with pronouns, like how you see other people being called certain pronouns your entire life, and you hear her, and what that mental kind of thing that happens in your head is it associates it with with what you consider yourself, if you know what I mean. And then you get into the whole dysphoria thing of the sense of what you consider yourself and the way you feel doesn't match up with what you see. But then that's all obviously is a condition, the condition side more than the psychological taught side.
I find it really weird. It's like how you can get really into like a good habit with like someone's pronouns and name and stuff. Like when I first met you, didn't scrap your pronouns at all, and now every now and then I just find myself saying he, and I'm like,
you both do it to each other, and I notice it.
Yeah, no, I did. I have no idea why. Like it makes no sense because you start off they, them, they, and then just suddenly randomly he, and then you're like, that's not right.
I think it's a circumstance that we're in. If you know what I mean, we're hanging out in an environment that dude and man is natural. You know what I mean?
Quite big in my vocabulary. Sure.
Yeah. I'd say dude, man. Like
I don't call you man.
No.
I think I have a few times, but like
not
so much.
It's not like it's not a problem.
Dude, I use for everyone. Like that's not really. I would say specific.
I use guys for everyone.
Yeah, same.
Guys,
say guys
dudes,
is a group of people.
I use dude and man for everyone actually.
Yeah.
I use man for Bo.
Yeah.
But
Dude, guys, lads. Alright, lads.
geezers.
Oh, that's a good.
Alright, geezers.
You know what, geezer?
Opinion on neopronouns. What's your opinion on neopronouns?
Neopronouns.
Fuck is that?
Oh, please.
You know, like G, J, like when it's spelled X, I, X, E, that sort of stuff. I don't fucking understand it in the slightest. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But it's like they're like non-binary kind of pronouns.
Yeah.
And like some people relate to them. I don't understand them. But like some people like kind of got it's like, oh yeah, but you have they, you don't need that. And I'm like, but if they identify with it, fucking leave them alone.
It's all experimental and all like I like there's one I really like in French, which is called IL, which is just a fusion of il and elle, which is
I like that.
he and her, and just
I like that.
fuse the two together.
Like I said, I don't fully understand neopronouns myself. I'm like, I mean, they, you could just use they. But like, if you don't want to, then that's fucking fair enough. I ain't gonna complain.
Yeah, it's I guess as time goes on, there's new associations, if you know what I mean. Like in like 20, 50 years, they will have associations that will probably make some people feel, oh no, that's not me, you know, and then they'll have to find something else again because it only takes time for people to associate things.
Yeah. I fucking hate gendered languages. Just from a linguistic standpoint, it's fucking stupid. Like, oh, that table is specifically a female. Like, no, it's a fucking table. It's an inanimate fucking object. Separate. You're fucking gendering the word the with like people and like their genders, like just two separate things.
It's so hard though when you're on the inside of it, like because trying to understand an ungendered table with a French mindset is just impossible.
Yeah,
it's just impossible. It just sounds so wrong, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I don't, because I've not come from that. I don't.
No, but I mean,
it's
like from both ends, you know. It
makes no sense from either
end. It doesn't
end.
make any sense, and it's like, but then you're on the other side, and you're like, I want to ditch this. This doesn't make any sense. We shouldn't use this, but it feels normal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think what we can all agree on is gender is fucking shit. Just don't have gender.
We'll get there.
Just get rid of it. Doesn't exist.
You just might have certain bits. You might have certain bits, or you might want other bits, you know, and that's it.
Don't like these bits. Can I exchange them? Walk to the hospital. I would like a refund.
There was something I heard recently, which was like, we should go buy our chromosomes for like sporting purposes and non-social purposes and stuff like that. Like a common one would be like if somebody's not 100% transitioned or in different various potential scenarios that could happen. Say a cop is chasing somebody down the street and they're like, oh, a non-binary person is fleeing down such and such, you just wouldn't be able to figure it out, and it's by separating social from scientific.
Yeah, I agree.
Having a very baseline state that we can say X chromosomes or Y chromosomes can be very helpful.
People try and attack that as well. You were either born with a male or female brain, but it's not even that. It's the social thing. And
it's so difficult, getting into nature versus nurture.
But people jump straight to the science stuff. That makes it seem very closed.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not that section. It's not that deep in that section.
It's not that deep.
It all kind of rests on top of each other and stuff, but then also people can't separate the two. When people get angry at that whole X and Y chromosomes mentality, and it's and they try to defend it from a social standpoint, well, no, you can't explain it with X and Y chromosomes because gender is a social thing and this, that, and I'm like, yeah, of course, but we're not talking about the social thing. We're specifically, it's two separate things, and you've got to address both. Yeah, you've got to be able to make it untaboo in a progressing society, because as society's progressing, we're risking making what you were born as and what you were born with are taboo subjects because people are so afraid to disclaim it, and I get it, from somebody who it affects, I get it, but you say you're looking at things like sporting events and stuff like that, somebody who was born female, it's very fucking dangerous to put them in a male class, but
that becomes a really interesting, because then you've got people for example, people naturally, women with naturally higher testosterone levels, and you've got to say, well, they're assigned female at birth, but in theory, because of their levels of testosterone, being
but then you also don't look at their levels of bone density and the fact that somebody in the exact same weight class could snap them in half.
Yeah.
I think it's more about signing. I would be totally down for the mentality of signing waivers, in the sense that an X chromosome person can never be in combat or sport with a Y chromosome person unless they sign a waiver saying, me specifically, I am not in a class, I am just fighting as a person against another person. And you throw gender and sex out of the window. But you have to sign something to say, I am risking this myself. Because if you create class systems in which certain people can fight against certain people, if it's unbalanced, even in the slightest, even if it's just 1% of people who are in that class range are risking their lives to fight with somebody else, it shouldn't be systematic. It should be X chromosomes fight against X chromosomes and Y chromosomes fight against Y chromosomes, unless you're in a specific circumstance where you can say, I want to risk it.
Sport's a very controversial one.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard one to try and properly, because there's so many different factors. At what point do you draw a line between
football? It would be fucking mental. Imagine that, especially the reactions. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the fucking backlash if they mixed football? They're I know it's wrong, but
if I'm honest, I kind of am down for that.
No, I'm down for it, but just imagine all the football fans, all fucking Greg from down the pub, got his fucking Stella,
It's not right.
It's not right. Women and men shouldn't be playing football. They've never done it before.
Yeah, I think if there's a goal, if it's a sporting event where there's a goal and stuff, and you can put rules in place.
You've got different males might have more, I don't know, strength as it is, but women are faster. Yeah, and there's all these different you can use that for team.
You play it strategically.
And you play strategically with normal players with each gender players anyway. You would have more defense.
You think
you could put two guys in defense. You know what I mean? And then midfield you could have you don't have to have a woman, but this is very categorizing just basic shit.
No, yeah.
It would change, but you could really rally it out.
Yeah.
At the moment, it probably wouldn't work, just because of the gap in quality between women's football and men's football.
That's a bit sexist, Abe.
Are you saying women can't play football, Abe?
No, I know what you mean. The funds of training and all the other shit that goes into it.
Yeah, but isn't that why you should merge the funds of the two?
There is a large
create
gap
a new
organisation.
A new bridged organisation.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sort of going towards that way at the moment. But if you were to merge them right at this point, it would be predominantly male players.
No, that makes sense.
Female players wouldn't get into the teams because at the moment because
the
level of quality isn't.
Yeah.
So it ended up becoming more of a sexism issue.
Yeah, because I get that.
it wouldn't be
shoehorn. You
split.
have to shoehorn females in, and then it'll feel forced.
Yeah,
and
at the
then people will
moment,
be
like,
"What the fuck?"
the way it's going at the moment, like bringing women's football into mainstream media is making them a lot better.
I think it's getting a lot more popular.
Pumping more
good.
money into it is making them better. So if you get them sort of on a level playing field in
Then-
terms of quality, then merge them, then it will probably work. But at the moment, it's very disproportionate.
Yeah.
So it's,
it's
going to reflect that.
That'll be good.
In
Imagine
the
that.
actual
That day
game.
would go down in fucking history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And this is why you need a
like,
football
it's
fan
like
with your podcast.
over the years,
It became
sports like that have kind of become less and less violent, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
because rules have become more and more respected, I guess, you know. And it's like that mentality of the football player going down and going, and all that sort of shit. Like, I think if you can get all of that out the window and have specific regulations, you know, there's no reason why you shouldn't merge the two, because nobody should get hurt at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know. Whereas with physical sports, you know, it's like you've got to draw that line, because then by drawing that line, you're creating a bit more of equality, because you're saying this is a sport you should both be able to do, because there is nothing different between you that would get in the way, you know. There's no, you're not, there's no somebody, you know what I'm trying to say, there's no risk of somebody else getting hurt, and there's no risk of like men aren't necessarily going to do better in it, because it's a sport that revolves around a lot more than just physicality, you know. Whereas like sports that not revolve around physicality, but like sports like boxing, you know, where it's all about your weight and all of that sort of stuff, then you got to draw that line there.
What's your opinions on American football and rugby? Like, would you mix them?
Ooh,
So I don't know my opinion. I don't.
fuck.
I mean,
That's an
if you
interesting
think
Yeah.
the people who played rugby in my school, people who were built like a fucking brick shithouse, and the fact that they had to play on the same team as me, who was like a fucking, well, about shorter than you, still built the same, like this skinny, you know, the fact that we had to play on the same team was like, well, I mean, at that point, like,
Also, fuck you for calling me short.
you are fucking short, Jim.
I think if it's done from the ground up, in the sense that instead of just merging to associations like the rugby stuff, but you do it from you start
make a new
slow build of people from training, both of them, both sexes being allowed in, and you know, because then it's no longer about a woman versus a man. It's more about scrawny and big, if you know what I mean, for either sex.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of keep an eye and watch over that of the physicality, in the sense of don't let somebody huge jump on top of somebody who's
But then will you be adding restrictions to the sport and damaging what that sport is?
I think because of the way that the sport is designed, it's potentially
Like,
one of those ones.
and like the big people, like skinny people, don't really get into it anyway. So
Oh,
like,
no.
it would be the same as football, where it would just be more men. There might occasionally be a female about. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like rugby's.
It's
think,
one of
yeah,
those
like you say,
sports, the way
sport-
it's designed, it just doesn't
No.
work for mixing
I
two
think
entirely different body types.
sports aren't.
Good one is golf. Is that just a man sport? Like, is it?
No.
Are they in the same leagues or are they separate?
They're separate.
Why?
Strength.
I guess it just comes down to tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, golf's quite a
It's a
gentleman's
very,
club
it's a very
thing, isn't it?
traditional
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
sport. But
But I feel like golf's something that it should be.
there's no reason for that to be
No.
separate anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even if you,
I guess
if
the
this is-
problem with things that require strength like that is that, like, statistically, you can make the argument of it's not about man and woman, it's about a strong person versus another strong person, you know, how hard you can hit and all that sort of stuff. But a woman would have to be 80% stronger than every other man just to be able to get into the top.
Yeah.
You know, so like statistically, as much as yes, a woman could beat a guy in this, if you are merging the two categories and judging them all the same, then statistically the women are going to end up on the lower half of the chart every single time, because statistically most of the men are going to be stronger than
And
them.
that's where the hard thing is.
that's like
Mm.
tennis.
Yeah.
So I get
You've got
it's-
Serena Williams, who could probably compete against any man.
I mean, she could snap pretty much all of us over a fucking knee.
But then
But
she's
then-
an anomaly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
like,
exactly fair
yeah.
to the rest of the people in the statistics that have to compete against her and all the other men, you know, and work with, you know what I mean?
It's definitely an interesting one. Like, it's a big topic.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to it. And just,
I don't think there is ever going to be a right answer.
No.
I think that's one of the problems.
yeah.
You can have an answer that's kind of okay, but you're still be missing something. Not everyone is ever going to be happy with something like
True,
Yeah.
true.
Especially sports, people fucking.
Mm.
that. Just
Ooh, the backlash would be fucking shit.
sport is too much fucking stress.
But I
lot
think
of people into
it's
football
getting,
just for
like,
fighting
with
culture,
the
and then-
introduction of like esports,
Oh, esports
it's
is great.
getting less and less like, it's more like sports are being specified,
It's
you
so
know,
good.
so you gain that equality over the
Yeah.
fact that it's not that all sports are unequal for women, it's that specific sports in a specific way it wouldn't be fair, you know, and like so,
Esports ain't
and
got
then
any
you
of that.
gain that esports and it's completely fair,
Yeah.
you know, so there's that ground of on this end of the spectrum there is sports for everyone, and then in the middle there's sports for some of you, and then on the end there is sports that are segregated, and it's not segregated for a bad way, it's just segregated to keep it fair, because if it wasn't, then
It wouldn't be
you'd
fair.
you'd statistically be competing against unfair advantages.
Yeah. I think gaming's good for that. Like,
Mm.
esports and shit, and just gaming in general is very what's the word? Inclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, like Apex Legends, me and Abe play a bit. There's a character with Bloodhound, and they just don't have a gender.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like voice acted for it. Like, people have been sending messages saying how like the characters done them. They have something like in
Yeah.
the game that's real to like relate to.
Yeah.
Really good character as well.
Mm. That's
Good
really
abilities.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's called
really
Bloodhound. Yeah. And you can't see like they're in a full fucking get up, and like they got like a mask. You don't know what they look like, and you never will.
Yeah.
So is
That's
that
cool.
like representation in your head does never happens because of that, because they cover up the body. You've got bulky armor on, so like it's really good.
So you will never, it blocks that
We'll
ability
upload
to
a photo.
associate it.
We'll upload a photo of Bloodhound. Yeah,
Love that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, show me.
yeah, I'll show you in a bit.
I mean, I think going back to Overwatch, I think what was really great was when was it Soldier 76 was revealed to be gay. Like that, just
Yeah,
that was great because like you just didn't fucking know.
No.
And then suddenly it's well, Soldier 76 gay. And I'm like, oh,
they mentioned it
okay.
in the comics. It was just
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, but it was like such a non-issue. Like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more and more representation
great.
in media that it's just standardized representation. It's just
Yeah.
like, well, not standardized, but like normalized. If you know
Yeah,
what
I mean,
It's
I watched.
not-
There was a episode of what was it, Rookie Blue? I watched, and there was like this trans boy, like trans man, and he was like he had like shitty family and transphobic family, and I know he tried to commit suicide. It was one of those typical ones like it seemed like a sad ending, but it wasn't because he did actually survive and all that sort of stuff. But like none of the main characters ever like made a big fucking deal out of it. The only people who ever made a big deal about the fact he was trans was the shitty homophobic transphobic
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah, it's quite like that in Sense8.
Yeah.
There's, have you seen Sense8?
No.
Yeah,
It's good. I loved it.
really good.
So I was so disappointed when it got cancelled.
At least we got the movie.
It's a movie.
Well, it's the last few episodes. They did a
Oh,
wrap up
yeah.
on the last few
Oh, yeah,
episodes that
I've
were
seen it,
super long to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this character called Naomi in it. She's trans, and it's not really brought up at all unless it's with her parents, and even then, like the word trans is never mentioned in the show. You know, it's just because the characters know, you know, so there's no need to bring it up. And then like, I don't know, it kind of just, the biggest point that's made out of it is the nasty people, how not to be like that, you know, and with the dad, I guess, at the end and stuff like that, it was all just nice and subtle and in there, you know, provided real good representation.
Yeah, it's really
People
good.
to identify with.
With shows and that, you do have to like mention it, but video games, you just have it somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not got to be. You haven't got to announce it. If I mean, in the show, it's just like it could be info card you read on the website of a description about the character, and that could be the only way you would know. Do you know what I mean?
It's factual. There's
Yeah.
no, it doesn't get muddied with the
Opinions and like
the way that the
Yeah.
artists choose to describe or display it in the movie or whatever or
Yeah.
show or whatever. There's always a slight filter of how that person perceives that
Yeah.
character's gayness. whereas it's just factual in,
Yeah.
in the video game. I like that.
NB versus agender.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk to because
No idea what that is. So explain that to me
you
as well.
identify as non-binary, your partner identifies as agender, and like how that is, like how that, because you could say technically your partner is also non-binary, but like in a different way.
It depends how.
Can you explain to me what that is?
That's the thing.
Okay,
don't know what that
so
is.
I identify as non-binary, which to me kind of means that I identify myself as, I don't know, because in the same way that everything's on a spectrum.
Oh, they them. I know that
Yeah,
one. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I mean like
Yeah,
NB.
NB, non-binary.
Oh, okay, it's just an abbreviation.
Yeah.
Like
Agender. I don't know what that is though.
agender. The way my partner uses describes it is that she doesn't feel like she has any gender at all.
Okay.
She doesn't identify with any label, but she identifies with the idea of not having one, like not having a label, but having, like, labeling herself as not being within. She's not a girl, she's not a guy, she's not neither, she's not both, she's just not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Like, so I guess sometimes we would kind of describe that, as I was saying to you, it's quite funny. We kind of do a circle in the sense that because she is AFAB and I'm AMAB, so technically you could kind of describe us as het. But then we're both queer, so we kind of go, oh, so we're not het because we're both queer, but then she's actually the opposite of my identified gender because I'm non-binary and she's agender, so we're technically the opposites, which would make us heterosexual.
Oh wow.
Because heterosexual means attracted to the opposite of yourself.
Yeah. Fair.
So in that instance, would like, because obviously non-binary is like the umbrella term in a certain sense, but like for a non-binary identity. So would like they have any particular don't want to be referred to as non-binary, or because it is. Yeah, obviously, if you don't.
To the length that I've discussed it with her, I think it's more the case of agender is kind of the main thing that she'd identify as, but because of it being so specific to not identifying as something, so agender would be the highest up you'd get. She wouldn't really need an umbrella term because she doesn't want the terms in the first place, if you get me. Yeah. So like the furthest they would go would be agender, because that's the only label that kind of describes.
Yeah, in the way that it works, it doesn't have the umbrella term because it doesn't fall under the umbrella. It's completely own separate
I feel like
thing.
she might consider non-binary, but I haven't conversed with it enough.
To
know.
Which is a good point. Everything we're discussing is entirely dependent on us and our identities and shit like that. So don't take it as read.
Fair.
Would you associate the way that certain, obviously like clothes shops?
I would, I guess, in the same way that it's quite expressive. I think as a general rule of thumb, I would take the side of, like, you can be completely manly with an AMAB body and a full beard and identify as a trans woman.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it's reliant on
but like,
clothing,
does it,
but I use clothing.
Yeah, but does it like impact?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how does it like work for you?
Personally, I don't know, just a flux really.
Yeah.
Dependent on what I'm feeling of the day. Don't know what I could go into.
Yeah.
Just more femme clothes on femme days, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
A mess. No, I've kind of like, because of all like where I said I was like trying to force myself to be more femme. At one point, it's like the days, like for example, say I'm wearing a bra. Some days that doesn't work. Some days like that doesn't feel right. Some days it does.
Yeah.
And it's very much dependent on what feels right with whatever little minute micro label my identity is that day that I'm completely ignoring. Because micro labels fucking suck. Yeah, so it's just it made more sense when I wrote it, and I know that it was more deep, but now it's just not that deep.
It makes sense.
I struggle quite a lot with relaxed femininity. Like quite a lot of the time I want to be more feminine, but I'd be relaxed. But things that are more comfortable and more like, I don't know. I guess it's like that that ability to want to look more femme without trying. You know,
Yeah.
they want to tie your hair up in a bun and wear some joggers and just like a crop top or whatever, and just chill around all day. But then you know that if you don't make the effort to look kind of presentably femme, that most likely you feel more masculine. You feel
more
like
masculine. You
look more
don't
masculine.
look.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a certain degree of like, I don't know if it's the same for you, but like with me, like if I don't make the effort to look femme, I don't look femme. Like
Yeah.
even though I'm like, it's fine. I know how I identify it. You look at yourself and like, this doesn't look right.
Yeah,
It's not how I wanted it.
Yeah, like I want to look like I'm not trying to look femme, but that I am.
Yeah.
You know, look like a girl on a lazy day. Hip
That's
dysphoria is one of my strongest.
Yeah.
So I've got hip pads that I wear,
Okay.
and they're quite helpful for wearing with like joggers and stuff because you can wear them high waisted and then give that kind of illusion, but it's still comfy and freeing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you get that it's just that casual
Yeah. No.
figure that just helps for the general like not being dressed up but catch yourself in the mirror kind of thing.
Yeah.
How would you say your clothing affects you?
Type of shirt.
Just in a comparison, I guess, you know.
I don't know. Just jeans, shirt, t-shirt.
Hmm.
That's what I really wear.
Fair.
I don't know. Don't really.
Yeah.
I like hats.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my hip pads leave hip. My hip just work.
not
I
that
like hats.
It's just not that deep for me. It's just not that deep.
You're a shallow little fuck, aren't you, Jim?
Yeah, I guess one of the things that's kind of like stand out is, I guess, for trans people, you get a lot of discomfort in, like, I don't know, do you, in a non-gender affecting way, how does it feel when you want to look nicer than you do?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, when you're trying to make an effort and dress up and you just feel like you don't, you know, but not necessarily because of a gender, but because of you not looking how you want to look, you know? It's like, that's quite a daily thing for trans people, because there's that level of uncomfort, discomfort with you don't look how you're supposed to look, you know, or you've got to you present in a certain way.
Yeah, so like if you had like jeans that were fucking mad baggy and they make you look stupid as fuck, it's that sort of like I don't like these.
Yeah, or you might be trying to look cool in baggy jeans that look a certain way, but they don't look how they look on other people.
Yeah, shit example, but that's what.
Well, yeah, it's like imagine a suit. Imagine a nice, real nice
Tailored suit to the body.
See a tailored suit in a magazine, and it's sexy as fuck, and you order it and you wear it and it looks shit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's quite like that, but you have that reference to people of the opposite sex, if you know what I mean. Like, like in the same way the suit doesn't look good, neither does a skirt. You know, in that kind of, but I'm expecting it to look like it does on female-bodied people. You know what I mean? So there's that connection that you wouldn't make, you wouldn't expect to look like that, but you would expect to not expect to look good, but want to look how that guy.
With cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'll get self-conscious about my weight sometimes. But like to
Yeah.
be in a red hood outfit, imagine being like a skin tight red. I wouldn't do it, but like skin tight red hood. You sort of I feel like you should be more muscly. It's like dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia.
Yeah. So like if I always wanted to do a Spider-Man cosplay, but right now I've got a pudgy belly, I got man boobs, you know, and I've got skinny arms, so I wouldn't do it. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite
I
similar.
have to get into shape to do that.
Yeah.
So I want to change my body.
Yeah. And what we aspire as getting into shape is a shape that we could never have.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
like this impossible boundary that I can have what I want if I fucking work for it and just do exercise and shit.
Yeah.
But you guys can't without like
hormones and
surgery. And
Yeah, I bought a bodysuit and I was like, oh, yeah, it'd be nice, wearing the dungarees, look nice. And it was the wrong fucking size. But even forgetting that, because it sort of sat like quite kind of where I wanted it. It was just like a bit short in the arms. But like, I was like looking, and I'd never really had any problems with like sort of how like my torso like was shaped and such. And I just looked at myself and I'm like, that's not right.
Mm.
Like, you look at yourself and just suddenly it's like, that's not right, and it never happened before.
Mm.
Like, where workout tops and stuff, and sometimes they're quite skin tight. And it's like, oh, that's all right.
Mm.
And then I just put this on, and I'm like, yeah, that's the wrong shape.
Yeah.
And it was just weird because it's just the first time I've come across it.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that could get better if there was representation for people with male-bodied, like masculine bodies, without going through hormones in female clothing. Like you see a lot of people on the red carpet pushing men wearing dresses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like if more of that was pushed, there would be less of a that's the wrong shape, because you'd see both shapes as being able to wear that sense of like
how. Bring capes back, or wear capes.
Yeah.
Like, imagine just having like a fucking badass cape, or cloak. Like, if your winter cloak, if your summer one, it's just a towel. You
wouldn't wear anything else, would you?
No.
Yeah. Like, no matter what's underneath.
Why aren't capes cool?
They are cool.
No, but like they're not.
Confidence.
They're not accepted.
I would wear one.
You like a fucking.
I'd wear a Lando Calrissian.
You look like a laugher.
Yeah, you just look like.
Who wants to look like that, Jim?
Generic.
Another thing that people don't realise is when you, especially in the UK, you go through the process of talking to your doctor about being trans and stuff. They refer you to a gender clinic, and obviously you have to go through the whole waiting process. But the first thing that you have to do is do an assessment, which would be they diagnose you with gender dysphoria. And that's the thing, is that people don't realise is gender. It's not necessarily that transitioning fixes gender dysphoria. It's that it's one of the things that we have to treat it. And like you could look at it as I have gender dysphoria. I am in this male body. I could cure this dysphoria. And then go on your life as a cis male, which does sound a little bit like gay camps. But it's
pray the gay away.
It's just it's the fact that it is a condition, and people can take it on how they choose to take it on.
Yeah, it's good knowing it's like medical. People don't, as I said, people don't understand it's a medical thing, but like I don't know, is it mental health? Like I don't.
Well, that's an interesting.
I feel like mental health, because it's a negative thing. It's
I've seen people say like because it was in the DSM-5. I think it is still, but when they brought out the DSM-6, I've heard talks about it. Like,
what is it categorized under, or is it its own thing?
It's a body dysmorphia condition.
It's something. I didn't know if it was like umbrella termed into the mental health areas.
You could get body dysmorphia in the sense that people who
fat, really must.
It's that same type of thing, but it's gender dysphoria.
It's psychological disorder, wouldn't it?
Yeah, psychological. That's what it was.
Yeah,
but then I've seen like trans people talking about how it shouldn't be categorized as a mental illness, because it's not a mental illness. I'm like, my brain is thinking it's a different thing to my body, so I would call that a mental disorder. Like, it's not inherently negative. Which is what I think
the inherently negative thing is looking at something that is a disorder and considering that there has to be one option for it. I think that's the negative thing. That's people telling ill people how they should treat their illness. Just because it's an illness doesn't mean you can't go, oh well, I want to transition to help with that illness. I think the problem isn't. I think the problem is other people telling people what to do. It's the you have this, so this is the fixed solution. You are gay, so go to a gay camp to fix it. It's like, no, you could be queer and want to progress that into different ways of your life. Whether that's you should. I think you should accept yourself for who you are and stuff like that. But
there are some people who feel comfortable being closeted, even to a certain degree, from themselves their entire lives. And if that's how they're comfortable, then fucking leave them to it.
And some people wouldn't even identify it as closeted, because you could consider it. I don't know, it's like that thing of the transitioning doesn't necessarily have to be the objective, but it's respecting that it can be some people's objective, because you can
depends on the person. It all depends on the person, really.
Yeah, true.
It's it's just how people are as people and how they can accept it or not, or I don't know. Does that make sense?
Because I think if you have an angle to treat your dysphoria, and even if you do identify as trans, you could still not transition and still be trans.
There is no sort of scale of at this point you become trans, and at this point you stop being. Which is what some people sort of seem to try and police it, and I really hate it, because some people say, oh well, to be trans you have to be this, that, and the other.
Yeah, it's falling into the same trap again of oh, we accept this now, but we're going to police it like we do everything else. It's
Yeah, and what really
once you
pissed me
get
off-
past that problem with policing, people can be male and people can be female, just because you can accept that people can be trans doesn't mean you should police people being trans. You know, you should just get rid of the policing completely.
Well, the policing gets like when people
and shit.
yeah.
Mm.
When people sort of get to the whole Tumblr trans people who sort of you don't need dysphoria to be trans.
Mm.
You know that.
I don't know where I stand on that. You know,
What one of the really good takes I saw is
Don't need. Oh, so it's more of a choice as opposed to
that it's not. It's a thing
less
of
about being a choice and more about people who identify as trans and don't feel anything wrong with their body and stuff like that.
yeah, but
I see.
what I've seen is those people don't seem to because of like the rigorous term policing and like how closed off the community is. Those people don't understand exactly what dysphoria is. They have dysphoria, but it's just their physical element of dysphoria isn't as bad as their social dysphoria and their gender euphoria.
Yeah.
And so they have dysphoria. They just don't. They've not been given the vocabulary to understand that that's what they have. So they say, "Oh, I don't need dysphoria to be trans," but they do, and they just don't realize it.
Yeah, and I think also on some level, like, there's probably what was I gonna say? You could have somebody who is completely trans without dysphoria, but I think it's a different. It requires different terminology because it's like that element of you don't have to transition and you can feel completely comfortable with your body. So then that transness is a identification thing. Like everybody's entitled to identify whatever they want and completely have no dysphoria and no desire to transition, but then use she/her pronouns, you know, and stuff like that. It's like you got to understand that because you're kind of just using the social side and the social side is all that applies to you, that's fine, but that also means that you have a bit of a privilege over the people who experience the dysphoria and have to use that to soothe themselves, you know what I mean?
It's sort of about accepting where you sit and like how that is different to other people, and like, acknowledging that you have it differently to other people, and there's a lot of
like you're trans but you're not transitioned.
Yeah,
you know, you haven't gone through the rigorous, horrible shit that a lot of trans people go through. That doesn't invalidate your identity. It just means that your identity doesn't sit on a place where it's a problem, you know, and that is a privilege.
Anything else on that topic? Or?
We didn't actually get into like pronouns and like other than because it's like, oh, how does being misgendered feel? And like as far as we got was horrible. And that was where we stopped, wasn't it?
I guess it's like we said, that association, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the you hear that thing that you associate with something that you're not.
Yeah.
And that feels.
But then you
bad
have to
because
try
you
and
don't
conflate
feel...
that with you, and like when you hear it, like you're trying to basically take these two things that are not the same thing and make them the same thing, and it just doesn't. Work.
You're trying to be. There's this innate desire to be accepted for who you see yourself as, and everybody else around you is calling you something that you don't see yourself as from the inside. How would you feel if I was to call you her all day, or she?
Just be weird.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Kinda. Like I
guess
guess
if someone gets your name wrong, like is it similar shit? You're just like, what?
Yeah, it can be a bit like.
Yeah. No, like in general, say someone. I don't know.
Call me Abby.
Yeah, like it's Abe, and you're
That
like, what?
pisses me off.
Yeah,
People do that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because for some reason people don't know Abe. Like it's spelled A-B-E, so they think it's Abby.
Oh shit.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
I always get called Abby.
I've been called James sometimes by older people, and I'm just like, it's not me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's that thing.
It's that sort of,
Yeah.
It's not me, but like you're trying to force that meanness, like not meanness, onto me.
Mm-hmm.
I normally correct them as well, so I'm like,
I don't correct them.
It's like
okay then.
if you were to correct somebody, if somebody calls you James and you correct them to Jim, then the most common response is, oh, okay, fair enough. But if somebody misgenders you and you go to correct them, the response is, oh, how dare you tell me what I'm supposed to call you? You know what I mean? But you're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
it's the exact
that's a good
same
way.
thing.
That's a good way to like challenge any like person that is confused about it. I mean, or like anyone's against it. Just say like, if you've been like called the wrong name and you've reacted to it, it's that, but it's with it's pronouns and
You think how
and
fucking
the depth to
Yeah.
how society has treated those pronouns in the past, and how
Yeah.
that, because you're not just being subjected to a random name that could be that could mean anything. You're also being subjected to something that's not you but has an attachment of it is something. You know, it's not just a random name that could be anyone's. It's a name that describes what other people see you as. You know,
yeah.
it's like imagine if James meant absolute horrible cunt.
Yeah.
You know, and then somebody came and said the wrong name, said James, and you corrected them to Jim, but they're like, oh no, you are an absolute horrible cunt, so I'm going to call
Yeah.
you James. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's that like
That oof as well.
they're telling you what you're supposed to be.
There's more,
Yeah.
more emotion in it with
Yeah.
like.
It comes
story.
with a lot of other
I understand.
emotional shit. and
But
you're
the
like,
base like shock, it's like it's not me.
Yeah.
Mm.
The base,
then-
like
then
the
there's
initial,
more layers on
yeah, the
top of
initial
that,
reaction
but-
is that's not me, and then
Then
everything
all
else.
the shit comes in. It's like
But then you've got the whole thing of, like, for example, if someone
cis hetero males.
if someone like
What's my name?
misgendered uses the wrong pronouns for like a long enough period of time, and then you sort of you finally go, okay, I think I'm ready to say it. Then you've got that thing of, oh, but it's been too long. You know what I mean? You sort of I was like, oh, I've let you call me he for too long. I can't suddenly ask you now.
Oh, you feel that sort of element of guilt of like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge one as well.
You got that
It's
in college, I'd
we
say.
put this
I
almost.
don't correct people. I just
No, you've given up.
Yeah, I
Do
think
you know
it's a bit shit really that we're in kind of in this position where like you feel guilty for telling people something that should be completely
Yeah.
natural to like you know what I mean? It's like you're just asking for them to be nice. And,
Yeah.
and you feel bad about it. Like imagine if you went up to somebody and said, "Can you please not stab me?" and you felt really horrible and like,
Yeah.
"I'm really sorry for asking this. I know I'm a huge burden on you.
it's
but
such an
please don't
inconvenience.
stab me."
You're not.
Oh, okay, I get. Yeah, I see.
I understand
I
why
do
you.
the same.
Yeah.
You have every right to do
I love you.
this.
I love you. Oh, that problem went away then.
Did it go deep?
It's just not that deep. It's just not that deep.
Is Jim being a homophobe?
I love that.